Round two, going live in 3, 2, 1. Episode 16 of the All In Loyalty podcast. All things loyalty, all in one place. We are back at it again. Slight shift in perspectives here because you got the two brothers in one place. Yesterday, in the last episode, we had a guest, so we actually had 4 cameras present. Now it's only 2. But yeah, we're back to the original core trio for now. And how are things looking over where you guys are? I mean, Gabriella, let's start with you. You're visiting your brother right now. How is everything over there?
Yes, visiting my brother here for business in Dubai. Such nice weather compared to Zurich. So I'm happy to do business, visit family, and the other side enjoy a bit of warm weather. So
as I hear the rain falling in the background, I can only agree with what you're saying. I could also deal with some 30-degree sun. Gianluca, how about you? How is it having your brother over?
Very good, yeah. It's always nice, especially when you live a little bit further away from each other and not just like an hour's or 2 hours, 3 hours drive away from one another. It's nice to have the family here and especially doing the podcast together. I think it's the first time, so yeah. Super first exciting time. To see also the dynamic of interjecting into one another without the camera feeds or without the audio feeds, stopping you. So
true.
It'll be a fun one for sure.
True. Any interesting loyalty stories or something like that from the flights or travels this time around? Did you fly Lufthansa? How did it go? Whatever, anything?
No, Lufthansa is currently, I think, until end of September, they're not flying to the Middle East.
Yeah. So, okay.
I'm happily forced to fly with Emirates. although I love Swiss and Lufthansa, amazing, obviously, airline. But yeah, Emirates is.
He's expanding his loyalty landscape.
Yes,
that's good. Broaden your horizons. That's important. 100%.
On Emirates Skywards.
I recently rewatched some videos of my favorite YouTuber, Casey Neistat, who is a vlogger, and I looked at his most popular video, which was his review of Emirates First Class, New York to Dubai. And he just went over all of the luxuries, all of the pampering that you get for you, as well as then your like allotted shower time, where you go over to a bathroom and you can shower on the plane. It's just completely decadent, but like so nice.
I didn't have that experience yet.
No in-flight shower? Oh, man. No. But anyway, we have a couple of things to talk about, and we are a little bit more pressed on time than usual this time. So I would say we dive straight into it. We got a couple of interesting things to talk about for the past 2 weeks. We have a bit of M&A news. We have a bunch of partnership news. And yeah, for now, it's a bit of a breath of fresh air because we're not talking about AI for an episode. So that's kind of nice.
Who knows? We'll sprinkle it.
We'll get there eventually. Yeah, true. But yeah, the first one and the most interesting, this one is a big one that we wanted to cover last episode, but we didn't have the time to. But this is just showing and sort of setting the stage for people realizing just how big of a dark horse the loyalty sector is for some of these big companies, because you'll hear about these crazy acquisitions, you'll hear about these crazy mergers or whatever between, tech giants or media giants or whatever. One of the ones that is not necessarily making crazy headlines, but is for a similar amount of money, is this Adyen buying Talon.One for 750 million euros in a loyalty and promotions push. So this was announced quite a while back, and this was Gabriella who insisted that we talk about this one on the episode because it is a very interesting and I think telltale sign of, this whole consolidation thing that we've been noticing around the entire industry space for the past couple of weeks/months. And so, yeah, we can dive right into it immediately. I mean, it is really interesting just to delve down into slight details. They signed a definitive agreement to acquire Talon.One for a total consideration of 750 mil. The Dutch payments company said it will fund the deal from available cash resources. They said they will reinvest a meaningful portion in newly issued ordinary shares, expected to close second half of 2026. Of course, they have a couple of regulatory things to get into and everything. But just a little bit more information about these guys. So Talon.One, API first platform for enterprise loyalty management. So basically providing a lot of infrastructure, personalized promotions, and of course, as soon as AI-driven incentive optimization. The company serves more than 300 global merchants, including Nordstrom and H&M. Expected to generate 60 million in ARR by the end of this year. The company said the business has grown 30 to 40% annually in recent years. I mean, let's just set the stage a little bit here, and Gabriele, ask you right away. I mean, first of all, this sort of news. First of all, let's get some first impressions. I mean, these numbers and everything, the 750 million, Talon.One generating 60 million in ARR. Does this, are any of these numbers, first of all, surprising to you? Is this like sort of as you would expect and everything? It's like a surprise to people maybe outside of the loyalty space, but not necessarily within. And in general, yeah, your take on maybe these partnerships and these sort of consolidations of payment providers and loyalty infrastructures.
First of all, it makes me very excited. I think it's really cool to see, for multiple reasons. First of all, it's really cool to see that loyalty and payments are merging more and more, and that, let's say, the payment industry is recognizing the loyalty space more and more as a super valuable asset to have very close. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bought a loyalty company at the end of the day. Obviously, again, seeing that there is M&A activity in the space is always good as a company operating in that space. And also, I mean, I would say we always looked at loyalty closer to payments, much closer to payments actually than to marketing, for example. I mean, a lot of people called it MarTech before, etc. For us, it's fintech. It's very clear, fintech, and so that is amazing. On the numbers, honestly, I mean, 750 million, obviously, like, well done, guys, to both of the teams. It's a really, really cool deal. If you think about it, it's not super crazy from a multiple perspective. They're expected to do 60 million ARR until end of the year. That means that's like kind of a 12x multiple. If you think about AI companies that, yeah, basically have 100 or 200x valuations on their, I think Anthropic, for example, is right now at around, was last year at around 10 billion run rate end of the year, and was valued at, I think, 400, 500, 600 billions. Those are different numbers.
Yeah.
We're aiming more for those. No, but it's amazing. I mean, again, it's huge for the space. Again, getting closer to payment is super important from my perspective. Merging those two markets more and more makes sense. There is a huge amount of value. Again, with Talon.One building all of these users, having amazing customers, obviously integrating now also AI, as I think like every company or every tech company at the end of the day is trying to integrate it. But no, it makes me very excited, and I'm super excited to see how they will integrate. I think from a product perspective, with Adyen's POS solutions, and having, like, and we always see that also on our side, that POS systems are always a bit of a friction point when you talk to a client, because if you want like the customer journey being very smooth and frictionless, a connection into the POS system is almost a must. So merging these two players makes a huge amount of sense for all the clients that are using these services, for all the customers that are using these services. It will just make a much smoother experience. It will create much more engagement. It will create much more value for both companies. And I think it's also very smart from the Adyen team that one of the terms in the contract was, here 750 million. Give us the money back by investing into our company and into newly issued shares. So that gives also the Talon.One team a big incentive to actually push hard, because obviously the better this partnership works, the more the value of Adyen's shares, and with that also those 750 million can become easily 1.5, 3, 4, 5, $6 billion worth. So I think amazing partnership, amazing news for the market, and super excited of what is coming out of the both teams.
There's also a quote here from the co-CEO of Adyen who mentioned, because this is also, I mean, of course, we talk about how big it is and how important it is for the space. The utility of the partnership in question also seems to be very data-driven. You can see the quote in the second paragraph here. Adyen co-CEO Ingo, I'm not even going to try that last name, said, our merchants ask us every day how they can better connect their online and in-store customer data and act on that in real time. Many have tried to build a solution themselves, but struggle to turn insights into action. With Talon.One, a merchant can recognize a shopper and apply a relevant offer instantly before the payment is completed, ultimately driving higher revenue. So this kind of follows along the trends that we had been talking about for ages, about being able to use AI and infrastructure to give these highly personalized customer experiences for people. And exactly as you say, Gabriele, make it smoother for them, make it as simple and seamless as possible. Gianluca, over to you. First of all, let's get some basic, takes on everything. If you have maybe something else that Gabriele hasn't mentioned so far. And if you see this as maybe the beginning of a trend, if this is like the first of many of such transactions, if this is like the start of a trend, what do you think? Because I'm kind of getting that impression based on this article.
Yeah, so let's delve into the AI topic. No, I'm just joking.
How dare you?
I want to talk about AI.
I saw AI. Let's talk about that. No, I'm just joking. No, one thing that I would add to what Gabriele was saying is that one thing that it shows to me as well is that even players that are as big as Adyen, and as it said in the article, from their cash reserves, they bought the company Talon.One for 750 million. Even at that size, two points. First of all, they see opportunity in acquiring a company or a business that already does that specific aspect of what they are trying to integrate into their systems, and that where they see the value in, instead of trying it themselves. So also to the many topics that we've had in the past podcasts, where even connecting to frequent flyer programs as a small business, if giants like Adyen do it, where they see the value in acquiring a whole business for that unit instead of building it themselves, there is value in joining. Not that this is a pitch for Kiwi, but in joining a frequent flyer program or another loyalty program that is well known, instead of building their own. To say that even with massive resources, there's still the better option to integrate something that already exists, has a user base, has the systems in place, instead of building it yourself, which is obviously more resource intensive and also experience demanding, which you don't have even at those scales. And the other thing is, just to touch on the AI topic just a tiny little bit, even something that AI can solve in a short amount of time, an acquisition of that kind solves that demand. Not instantly, obviously, it takes time to do a merger and to negotiate everything and to finalize it, but it is far shorter than building that unit in the business, than having all the people be in line and do exactly what it takes to grow to that dimension that Talon.One got, to the point where they got acquired, so that they have that business unit running. So to me, that's one of the biggest takeaways that I see here, where these payment providers are very happy to acquire, in this case, a loyalty management system like Talon.One, to facilitate and to just faster, get it rolling faster in their business.
That's interesting too, because it kind of segues into the next question that I would have had. Especially, I mean, we're all, I think, pretty active in keeping up with business news and M&A news and things like that. And a lot of the time, when you have a much larger entity that buys a much smaller one, a lot of the time, one of the main issues that happens there is that one of the things that the smaller entity had going for them was, being able to be agile, being able to respond very quickly to things, being able to move fast. And that ends up being one of your key drivers of growth. When you get purchased by a large company, I mean, what are some things, I mean, this is, of course, we're moving like slightly away, but this is still a very interesting one because I think it is going to affect, and I think it is a news piece. It's going to come more and more frequently in the future. What is something that both of these teams have to kind of be careful for when it comes to this integration? Because like, I don't know if Adyen can just say like, okay, guys, do your thing. We're going to stay hands off. I'm guessing there's a lot of like corporate red tape that still has to be, processed if it's a larger institution. The smaller ones might find that jarring or limiting or whatever. Like, what are some of the main things that they should keep in mind here if they want to continue to perform the way that they have while still being under the umbrella of a bigger company?
I mean, I think there are multiple layers on that. One is for sure, Adyen is a payment provider, so they're heavily regulated in the sense that, we're at the end of the day, always when you process payment data, personal data, etc., you have quite a bit of regulations, you have quite a bit of auditing, you have quite a bit of process inside. Gianluca knows it the best right now. He's doing our SOC 2 certification, so he already sees there how much stuff we have to provide as a company, as a small company right now, to actually be, let's say, compliant with that, right? So obviously, if you work with a big payment provider, and the cool thing is, as a loyalty company, you're kind of in the payment space, but you don't have those regulations. So you don't have those heavy regulations because you're not processing really payment data, right? So you have automatically much more agility, much more freedom, etc. And I mean, I was just checking before, Adyen is around $30 billion market cap. I think they do around $3.4 billion of revenue. So obviously, on that size, you just have different processes, different timelines, etc. So that what you were talking about, making or buying, basically, obviously makes sense to buy in this case. And also, if you think about it, it's 750 million. It's around 2.5% of their market cap, and it's around 20% of their revenue that they have per year. So this is a big strategic investment for them. Also looking at the 60 million ARR that Talon.One is generating. I was also just checking before, net income, I think, is around 1 billion. So it's actually like, it really provides also a lot of financial value. The numbers are still small from that perspective, right? It's not like a huge bump in revenue or net income that they're producing. But obviously, if you can basically bake in and buy 60 million of ARR into your company, and most probably, Adyen, I don't know the whole revenue structure, etc., but my gut feeling is that they're more transaction-based volume. So it's also fluctuating depending on what is actually happening in the market, how much people are spending, what kind of seasonality, etc. Whereas if you have an ARR business where the money just flows in every month or every year, that gives you much more stability, right? So I think it's a very strategic investment from Adyen, and so that's why, like, they will keep a very close eye on Talon.One. Like, I don't think it will be a hands-off topic, or say, cool guys, let's just make an integration, let's make the whole process more frictionless, and you do your thing. But I think that will be a big integration, not only from a technical perspective, but from a team perspective, from a culture perspective, etc. That is always a difficult. I think most difficult thing is you have two cultures clashing with each other. Because obviously, if you work at, like, think about Adyen, when they started, they also had more that, say, startup mindset, more agile, etc. And you can keep that fairly long. But as soon as you get in those sizes and you also make an IPO and you're a publicly listed company, the world looks completely different. You can't, quoting old, like the Facebook mantra at the beginning, move fast and break things. Yeah. Most probably, when you're a publicly listed company, it's like move slow and try to not break anything. So obviously you have two cultures clashing on each other. But at the end of the day, I think that the Talon.One team was very aware of what they're going into, or at least I hope that they were very aware of what they're going into. And I think bottom line, it's better outcome for both companies. Obviously, execution always makes or breaks these deals, because there are a lot of examples where big companies bought a smaller company, and then it just didn't work out from a culture perspective, didn't work out from an execution perspective. So this is for sure something that is still open. But again, both companies investing a huge amount of time and money in this. So I really wish them, first of all the best, and I really hope it works, because again, it's a huge validation for the whole loyalty market.
There's an interesting term that's been buzzing around, which is called invisible loyalty or invisible payments. And that's the whole, like really promoting and pushing hard that entire hands-off approach, where, I mean, I'm sure you guys have noticed it too, when you have like a piece of technology that's very advanced. I had this just the other day with HubSpot, where, you know, I would want to do something and I would think that I would have to do a couple of clicks to do it, but then it does it automatically and you just go do that. Whoa, awesome. And, you know, like that just saved me a couple seconds. That's like those kinds of moments. Those are like, if you talk about moments, you know, like that is the kind of moment that makes you just, it's like this mixture of like relief and joy and, oh, this saved me a little bit of time. That is also a kind of loyalty mechanic in this case, you know, one of these loyalty
like
things
AI?
that
I was actually thinking about
running.
I was thinking about something else when you said invisible payment. I was like, actually, I should use that phrase the next time I'm in a restaurant or I have to pay a bill. Like, no, I made the payment. It's just an invisible payment. You just don't see it, but I made the payment.
But you generally understand the concept, right? Like there's the whole all-in-one platform and app thing. I mean, you've got Elon also working on X Money that he wants to make like an all-in-one thing that's tied to your username. People are already talking about envisioning a future where, you know, if you go into a certain supermarket, that it just recognizes you and recognizes what you're a customer of, and you never even have to pay. You just go in, you get your stuff, it sees what you got, and when you leave, it charges you. That sort of seamlessness, this is like the direction in which partnerships like this start to go then, doesn't it? Because
100%.
it's like, it's a loyalty program, but is it then a loyalty program or more of just a rewards, like incentives thing? Because when you don't have to do anything, you know,
Well, I mean,
if you,
I think a lot of it is also, I think a lot of it is also as they describe it in the article, it's where businesses don't have the data to instantly, or let's say close to instantly, reward. I didn't want to use reward because then it sounds very loyalty specific, but they can make decisions more quickly and give back in any way possible to the customer. Because that's exactly like kind of what you were leading into or alluding to is, okay, doesn't it just become transactional? It's not so much about loyalty and so on and so forth. It's just, you know, payments. And if the loyalty reward is baked into the payment, that's almost also invisible in that sense. You don't even notice it, but more in the negative sense, like you don't notice that it's actually happening, and you might not even be aware that you then have points. But what I believe is important to understand here is that the fact that they have more data, or that they're able to deliver more data to their clients, their business clients, that gives them the option to the businesses to do things that are in different shapes of loyalty, whether it is direct rewarding of the transaction, like you get 1% back in points, and then those points can be used and so on and so forth, but also things like you were saying, in the future where you have seamless payments or seamless processes where you just walk in, walk out, and it's paid, that's all data in the end. In the end of it all, it's just data collection. In the case you were talking about, is probably having some super advanced cameras that recognize you, or know what's going on. It recognizes your wallet or recognizes you walking out. That's just data, sensors that take in the data, and then based on that data, you can create a more seamless a more seamless customer experience, and have these moments where you, as you already mentioned with yourself in HubSpot, you're like, oh wow, I don't have to pull out my wallet, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. Maybe even in a future where you walking in, it recognizes that you have points and directly asks you, or maybe not even, depending on a preference you choose, to then deduct the points instead of even using your cash or your money. So even there, oh cool, I just bought whatever I bought without even spending a dime, because it was points that I had collected.
To add on this point, I think that, and just remember it when you were talking about it, I also think that this is it is extremely valuable. These kind of transactions are extremely valuable for the market in general, for the payments market and the loyalty market, to just push forward and push limits. Because also here, multiple layers. If you think about it, how many head of marketings or head of loyalties, etc., they issue either voucher, like a discount or whatever it is, buy one get two, or they give you points and so on. So they make certain activities, but on the other side, they hope that you actually don't use those points, don't use those vouchers, right?
True.
And then you forget about it because you're not aware in that moment where you're paying specific something. Maybe you're on the phone, maybe you're talking, I don't know, with your girlfriend, etc. And you don't think about, I actually have a voucher, I could use it right now because I'm buying that specific product, right? So I think this pushes more towards having, again, a more frictionless user experience, which is more valuable at the end of the day for all parties. And you as a customer don't have to think so much about which vouchers do I have on my phone, which points do I have in which loyalty programs, etc. But it actually helps you out use all of that value, right? What I think it will create is it will create a competitive situation that all of these brands that are not pushing towards that frictionless experience will slowly start basically losing engagement, losing customers, losing revenue. And so, and at the end of the day, I mean, that's like core of a well-functioning market, is that there is competition, there is a symmetry in value being provided, and that as soon as the market accepts a new norm, everybody that is not at that level just needs to push harder, right? So for me, that's one of the most important outcomes of this, because it just pushes, almost it forces, honestly, old school thinking people that have the feeling that I issue, I don't know, $1 million worth of vouchers, but I hope that only 10K are actually being redeemed, or I'm issuing a huge amount of points, but I really hope that they don't spend them, because honestly, up of the whole market in loyalty, that these people just have such old school thinking, from the CFO to the head of loyalty, that have literally no clue on how to engage people, and that they just think about the bottom line because they're not creative enough to actually generate more revenue. Sorry for the small rant in between, but it has to
all
be
good.
But it's also the same conversation we had with Adam last time, where
it's
the loyalty
breakage conversation.
Breakage is such an important thing. Like, this breakage is important for people that are not creative, to be fully honest.
But also the topic of
that.
just having your loyalty economics in place. Because if your loyalty economics are in place and they're sound, then even at 100% redemption rate, you're still okay. Because it should be part of the economics calculation, that you say, okay, if in a hypothetical world, everyone would redeem all their points, every single person, then you would still be okay, because that's something you calculated in. So anything that is below that, of course, you have a bit more revenue playroom or a little bit more profit. But in the end, if the economics are sound, you're good either way. But
can I just say how? Please.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just gonna quickly compliment you guys and say how nice it is to have both of you in the same room. The conversation back and forth and nodding and looking at each other and stuff. I don't know. It's really nice.
Continue. That you will never replace, or no. We will do a podcast all three together, because the being together is definitely much
100%. Would love that.
With a beer in the hand, and in the evening, maybe in the afternoon.
Yeah,
sounds good.
I was gonna briefly to the customer experience and to the
my little rant.
And this is not even loyalty related directly, but just to the fact of businesses also integrating technologies and making sure that the customer experience is as smooth as possible. Literally just yesterday, I had that experience of massive friction. So here in Dubai, there's two main scooter brands. There's Lime and there's Dot. And just recently, I just think in the last 1 or 2 weeks, I started seeing a new one pop up here and there, and more. And I looked, we saw them also with my fiance, we saw them, we're like, oh, these look really cool. Like they look bigger, they look more comfortable. I was like, oh, we should take one. And it honestly was also the only one that was around. I download the app. I tried to, I signed up, then obviously had to add the payment. And at adding the payment, that's where they lost me. the UI was the old-fashioned, you have to manually put in the card number instead of having a Google Pay, instead of having an autofill feature, instead of enabling even the autofill feature from, you know, like the OS of any device, which is, and this is basic.
Super simple.
This is, we're not even talking about some complex loyalty mechanisms or complex things. It's just, I didn't have my credit card at hand right now, so I can't use it.
Damn.
And even today, I was like, should I do it? I was at home. Should I do it? I was like, no, I can't be effed to now go get my credit card from my wallet just to type it in manually. And I think that I probably won't use it until maybe one weekend. I just get the idea to sit down for a minute, but that minute is too long to just put in my credit card. Just to say how, yeah, customer experience is so important. And if even on those levels, you're not making strides to make it as easy as possible, because you just lose people.
And honestly, one more point. If we think, and sorry to again mention AI, but it is just like, it is just relevant. If we think about agentic commerce, that's like, they were talking about zero emotions. Like if you just try to suck away some value out of that customer journey as a company, because you have the feeling you save money, because you have the feeling you're smarter, because you want to create breakage, you're just being effed by every agent that just looks for the best possible and most efficient way,
and has all that information.
My human being to have the best possible experience and value for their money. So every company needs to think about the next wave. It won't be a person making the decision of paying something. It will be the agent that has your credit card or that has their own credit card where you push money on it and will just make the payment. They will look for the best solution. They will look, which loyalty programs do you have? Where do you get the best value for your points or miles or whatever it is? You won't come around. And that's exactly what I meant before. Like, it's amazing when new technologies come in, when these kind of partnerships are happening, because it just pushes the boundaries of the market to provide more value. And that creates a competitive situation where everybody needs to move their ass. And honestly, I love that, because there are so many people that just do a lazy job. They're just not creative enough. They're sitting in their job since 10, 15 years. They have the feeling that they're king of the world, and they have the feeling that they can work the next 15 years how they worked the last 15. And I'm so happy when the market starts moving and everybody needs to move. And it creates new opportunities for customers, for companies, for new incumbents, etc. So honestly, it makes me always so excited when these things happen.
It was a bit of an adjustment for me personally as well, going from the corporate background into here and learning and getting used to having access to, be able to provide ideas or initiatives and actually have them be listened to and potentially implemented, as opposed to in a very rigid structure where you're kind of rewarded by, okay, here's your tasks. You do this with your 8 hours, and then you can do this for 20 years, and then you can do something else. It's honestly, kind of an adjustment either way.
I 100% imagine that. But honestly, I don't think it is the size of the company. It is the culture that comes top down. If executives are stuck up and they have the feeling that they just need to optimize profits, they're done.
Yeah, true.
If an executive can't use AI, doesn't understand agent, doesn't understand new payment, doesn't understand technology itself, how do you want to inspire your team? How do you want to tell? I don't know how many CEOs are out there, or even board members, etc., that tell their teams we need to do something in AI. Are you using an AI? No. Then why the
or
fuck
at the very least admitting that you don't, and that you actually make the moves to hire the right people to get that in place.
To be fully honest, no. You just have to use that shit.
Yeah, leading by example is
leading by example.
It's for sure stronger.
Obviously,
even
you have
the
to hire
60-year-old CEO who
100%. Doesn't matter if you're 90, you should use it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, obviously you need to hire people that know the job better than you. But if you actually want to understand in which direction we're going, you need to do it yourself. You can't tell your team, let's go into AI, and you ask ChatGPT about what you should eat tonight. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it can't be that. It
Or
can't
ask
be that.
GPT to write the message you write to your
Yeah.
team about AI.
Yeah. So like you need to, and again, this is not only with AI, this is with every technology and everything you want to push forward. You know what I mean? Like you need to engage with those things, and it needs to happen at the highest executive layer, because if these guys don't move, how do you expect your team to move? They don't even take you seriously.
How did we get here?
Yeah, and if you don't push the right, at the end of the day, the right leverages, where to AI.
No, just the topic. I was
No,
trying
but
to
no, because obviously we're talking about M&A activity.
It's important. It should be said.
Oh,
It's
okay.
We're talking about
M&A
M&A
activity,
activity at the end of the day pushing the market, because I mean this is
Okay,
not.
yeah.
It's not just an isolated. It's not an isolated thing that happens, right? This is a signal for the whole market that it's moving ahead.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
signal for the whole market that we're going towards just a frictionless customer journey. And at the end of the day, it is really expanding the boundaries of the whole market.
Yeah.
And it's signaling to the whole market, hey, we're moving ahead. And the thing is that a lot of brands or a lot of companies are way behind with all of these topics. And it really happens at the executive layer, because these guys are in those positions since years and don't want to move. They think the world is stuck at when they started, and they don't have the capability or don't have the will to look 5-10 years ahead. And that's where I think these kind of, again, activities in the market, like Adyen buying Talon.One, etc., also honestly built in the US, they're making an amazing job, like also showing the whole loyalty market how you actually can. I mean, these guys are worth now $10 billion. They're, in a few years, they generated more value on that side than a lot of loyalty programs, airline programs, did in the last 30 years. And this is because you have some guys in there that believe in tech, that move fast, and that are super creative with the solutions. And that's the big difference. You don't have, like, sorry to say it, but like, I don't know, a 70-year-old guy that sits in the board or sits in the CEO position and try to tell their team, we have to push on the AI side. On the other side, we need to cut costs because we need to provide more shareholder value. Look at Elon Musk. I mean, that's, for me, anyways, I'm a big fan of Elon Musk, but like, the guy actually gave his shareholders, like, he has a huge payout package. But I think with now SpaceX, he needs to actually put bots on Mars.
Yeah.
So like, that's for me a guy that believes in his company, in his team, and in himself as a CEO. And he actually makes a bet. He doesn't earn anything. He doesn't earn, I think he has $60,000 salary. So that's nothing.
I think also one of the milestones is to actually colonize Mars.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Not even bots, like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, on Mars. So it's,
and also with Tesla, the payout package is connected to actually delivering 1 million Optimus. How is it called? Optimus
robots.
I want to say Optimus Prime, but that's the Transformer movie. and this I think is extremely needed. And I think, again, Adyen doing this bet, Talon.One doing this bet, is exactly going in the direction to close the circle and to come back on the topic.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. But I mean, it's necessary to be said, and I do think the AI topic is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't think we'll be able to escape it on the podcast, at least, because it continues to be probably the most crucial thing that we do end up talking about. And it is cyclical at the end of the day. I mean, we talk about,
it's part of our lives anyways.
Yeah.
Already. Yeah. And it will be more and more anyways. So there's no getting around it. Maybe we won't even talk about AI as AI anymore. It will be our digital buddies.
There is no AI fatigue. Whoever came up with that term, we talk about the internet now and online like it's it's just another word in the dictionary. Yeah, AI is going to be the same thing. But let's dive into the next topic, because we did get a little bit sidetracked, but that's totally fine, because it is interesting, the cyclicality of innovation and the stagnation of larger companies. I mean, we've noticed that in the entire like we've all lived now in this time period where we've seen companies through the internet completely dominate markets and then completely plummet into the depths of obscurity because they weren't able to adapt. Right? There's any number of huge websites that were around that just aren't around anymore, and that's because of that exact reason. But we are going to shift from that direction into, I guess, something a bit more creative, a little bit more brand intensive. We did have Adam Posner on 2 weeks ago, and he talked about the joyalty moments of Magic, and he seems to be very into and is very enthusiastic about that emotional side of loyalty programs. Like, he knows his programs, don't get me wrong, but when he talks about the emotional impact, you can see there's like a spark in his eye. Like, he's really interested in what those brands can do that is intangible, that you can actually provide to give that spark to make things potentially go viral or do something interesting. And maybe we can see something like that with the upcoming article, which is, and now we're talking about like brands intermingling and everything. I mean, this one was also a very interesting one. This is the AP and Swatch collaboration. So, I mean, first of all, take a look at that watch. I don't know if I would personally wear it. Maybe I'd give it to my girlfriend, but but
I think it's the nicest one of the whole collection, to be honest.
Oh, damn. All right. And then just to throw that in here now, they have unveiled Royal Pop, a new collection that brings together creativity and audacity with haute horlogerie. Inspired by pop art, this collaboration reinterprets Royal Oak iconic codes through a disruptive pocket watch, available in 8 models and designed to be worn in multiple ways. This is not the first collaboration that Swatch has done with a major brand. They actually collaborated with Omega a while back, also very successfully because it was the first of its kind. This is being seen as a very interesting mixture because you've got 2 very different crowds that are gathering together, and both of which seem to be similarly enthusiastic about this collaboration. So you have Swatch on one side, which is a lot more affordable, a lot more, available to the masses and everything. And then you have the high level of exclusivity of AP, which, kind of dominates when you talk about the best watches there are. AP is usually in like the top 5 or the top 3 in that conversation. And a lot of people have been kind of interpreting this announcement in different ways. But to hear it directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak, you've got the CEO here. Why this collaboration? This is the CEO of AP. For the joy and boldness it represents, because audacity is often the starting point of innovation and new ideas. And because it creates a broader audience, it invites a broader audience, including the younger generations, to experience mechanical watchmaking differently. So, both of these brands, I mean, obviously we can say that AP has a much more loyal, a much more passionate following, just because of likely the price and exclusivity. But I know that Swatch does have its own sort of, diehard community out there. So let's talk about these types of partnerships and how maybe the loyalty factor actually factors in. Insofar as we can try to distinguish, maybe, is this just a marketing ploy? Is this maybe a piece, inviting in this collaboration to get younger generations invested in this brand and already creating memories around this brand at a younger age? I mean, we've seen, Gabriele also mentioned, people have been lining up in order to actually get these watches. So there is a bit of an exclusivity play there too. Gabriele, what are your first thoughts about a collaboration like this one? Do you see it as this sort of 4D chess move from AP to try and get like the younger generations in, or what do you think? What's your take on this?
In general, very cool collaboration. I think in general it's very cool from both sides. Also, Swatch and Omega, for example, when they did the collaboration, the products are like, I have to say it like this: the Swatch Omega collaboration, I think, just from a product perspective, made more sense because I actually can wear the watch, right? So it's not like this one here. From my perspective, Swatch, amazing that they pulled off a partnership like that. Also from AP, super bold, super bold from AP, because you are a high, like literally we're talking about maybe not tier 1, like a few other watch brands that are like even more expensive but super limited and super small collections, right? But AP is very close to those brands. Again, at the same level as a Patek Philippe, as Rolex, etc. So super high end. I mean, I think not average watch, like if you want to buy a watch at AP, it starts at 20K. So we're not talking about like I can get a watch for 3, 4, 5K, which is already a lot, but 20 is then another step up. So super bold from AP. I believe that it is kind of a marketing stunt, because, and that is also the part that maybe went a bit wrong, because people went a bit too loyal and a bit too, that we can discuss actually if it's loyalty or opportunism, but people went completely nuts, camping in front of the stores. You saw some videos where literally the crowd was kind of fighting to actually get into the store, and then like literally fighting to get a watch, like where punches flew around. So maybe that part of the marketing campaign didn't go that well,
or too well.
Yeah. Again, it went so well that it went again into the bad side. Again, a huge marketing stunt. The product itself, to be fully honest, and I think that was a strategic decision from AP, because it is different. I think they wanted to cap their high-end product line, right? So having really on your wrist kind of a AP Swatch
replica,
replica, whatever you want to call it, that would have gone, I think, too far for them being so high-end, them being so ultra-luxury, etc., and also would have pissed off a lot of their collectors and a lot of their customers. So it's for sure a way how you can, let's say, present your brand to a much younger generation. For Swatch, it was for sure just a huge marketing boost. Without, I mean, they spent for sure a lot of money on this, but like without spending hundreds of millions of dollars to get that kind of reach, because it was literally all over the place. Everybody was talking about, and is still talking about. Also, the prices on secondary market are crazy. Like I think average price for resale is like 3-4K, and you buy it at 300. So it's like a solid 10x, 15x that you can do on it. And that's also why, again, most probably a lot of people are there for that. Not a lot of people are there for literally they just want to collect these things. So in general, really good partnership. My gut feeling, it will be more kind of a hype thing rather than a valuable product line, to be fully honest. I mean, I won't walk around with like pendants and the watch on it. Like, I mean, if I want to watch, I want to have it on my wrist. And they're talking about the girls putting them on the bag and all of that stuff. Yeah, obviously. I mean, if I look at that jeans, everybody will have like an AP in their jeans and taking out their like that. I don't believe
like
at
the
all.
monocle meme.
Yeah, right.
I think even if I were to offer one of these to my fiance, I don't know if she'd wear it. I think, but maybe as a collectible. You know, that's like the other main thing. We talk about like the opportunism.
Yeah, it's like those how are they called? These plushies.
The Lulu, the
Labubus, where people spend I don't know how much money and then they put it on their bag and all of that shit. So yeah, it can be a fashion trend. Basically, it's very simple. Like there are so many fashion trends that come and go that like in fashion it's completely normal. Fashion world is completely used to like maybe a trend goes a month or two and then it flattens out. But in general, I think huge marketing activity from them, pulled it off extremely well, too well. Again, product for me, not my product.
I think the most interesting part will be thinking about the longevity of these products and how well they age. People had the same question about Labubu, is it going to be worth anything in 20 years? Because it like represented like a 3-month period where everyone was obsessed with them. Is that going to cause it to gain value? Nobody actually really knows. People are starting to think they might because of the whole Pokemon card trend that was like, you know, kids collecting in the 90s. And now you've got cards selling for millions. You know, you've got that sort of emotional value to it and everything. It's like, interesting to think about.
I'm sure that's in the long
I just wanted to say
so
like
long
30-40
years. So long that people don't even have the
imagination.
I was going to say brain capacity to think such long term. No offense to anyone watching.
Cognitive capacity.
The cognitive or the foresight, but I'm pretty sure that in the longest run, you can look at some point when people will be looking at these things, and you happen to have one of those unopened boxes of these watches, it'll be good. It'll be good to have it, or even just have it like that. It was interesting because we just before the podcast we were also talking about it a little bit, as you mentioned, like the camping in front of the store. Is it a loyalty? Is it a show of loyalty, or is it a hell-bent endurance test on having one of those as soon as possible so that I can sell them for 10 times the amount? The opportunistic approach.
I would maybe challenge that a little bit. Is it not maybe a Trojan horse though? Because like being able to have a lot of press coverage of people camping in front of your store to buy your product, I mean that already, like you don't even, before you interview people and ask them why they're there, it still makes for a very convincing image
100%.
that people
that
are
as well,
lining up
from
outside your shop.
From a Swatch perspective and an AP perspective, for sure. Yeah, that 100%. I would say from a customer's perspective, I love the Omega ones. They're super cool. I love the fact that they're so colorful. I mean, you can also have the white and the black one, which are a little bit more muted and so on. But there's always something to there's a story to it. I love the narrative that they have behind those, especially with the Omega ones are anyways, I believe a little bit different because there's the whole moon landing attached to it, the fact that it was the first watch on the moon, and then they made the whole like solar system out of them and the themed colors and so on. Here to be completely honest, I didn't read too much into this this launch, so I'm not sure if the colors have any significance like they did with the Omega series. But like from a customer's perspective that loves these kind of watches, I would I will definitely get the white one. I want the white one, but I will not stand in line for it, and I will definitely not buy it now. I'll wait until the hype fades away, and then I can just walk into the store like a normal person.
They're happy to sell it.
And then they're happy to sell it to me. Not like I heard some articles saying that some stores even shut down and they closed because there were just too many.
The same.
In Dubai the same?
Dubai the same.
Ah, crazy.
They stopped the launch.
Okay, crazy. Yeah.
People were waiting in front of the store, and then they went out like, sorry, we order it online, please.
No more, yeah. Yeah, and actually later, I think a day or two ago, I then read they're going to sell it online. So I was like, okay, cool. I can just order it. Like, yeah, a normal person.
I mean, it's the collectible craze. You guys remember there was a similar news story about when in Amsterdam, one of the museums, the Van Gogh Museum, did a collaboration with Pokemon, and they brought out a limited exclusive Pikachu in the style of Van Gogh.
Oh,
and
wow.
for them, it was just a cute little, promotional stunt. But the collectors caught wind of it, and they had to close the museum down for like 2 or 3 weeks because people were flooding into the store to grab as many of these cards as possible.
And I would,
there's multiple examples of this.
And I would argue in this case as well, I think it is. I would argue that it's sadly 90% of pure opportunism. I would really argue that most of them standing in line are, hey, this is a hot launch, this is a hot drop, these always pop off. Let's go. Let's be there with maybe 2-3 friends that are not interested in it, but because they have, I assume also in this case, they had you're only allowed to buy one per person. And that's somewhat how they can regulate the aftermarket, the secondary market.
Yeah, true.
But if you have 2-3 friends, you're like, hey, let's go there, let's do this. I'll give you, I don't know, 10% of whatever or 5% of whatever I earn off the secondary sales. So anyways, I would argue that the opportunistic approach to standing in line is 90-ish%.
It's all the NFT traders.
Yeah, I was going to make a comparison there, but yeah, 100%. And I would say 10, maybe a little bit more. Maybe that's a bit too sad the way I put it. But I would say that the minority are there for the collection, for the collectability and wanting to keep it, because in the end, it's, from what I've heard, they didn't say this is a limited run. Or it's not something that they said, hey, it will sell it because, for example,
That's people
some
speculating.
Omega launches that they did would only be sold at specific hours of specific days in specific stores.
Oh damn.
And then okay, then they make sense that you go there as a collector to stand in line because there's a window of time where I'm able to buy it, and I love this brand. I love what they're doing, and I want to be an owner of this collection, right?
Yeah.
Then it makes sense. But if they haven't announced anything like that, and Swatch, from what I've seen with Omega, they've always been very transparent about this. It's not like it's not one of those things that they hide from you, and it's like, hey, we're launching this, and then you're there at the store like, no, this is not true, or hey, you go somewhere else, it's not in this store. They're very open and transparent about it. So I would say the loyalty aspect of when you see these crowds and you're like, oh wow, people really love this brand, really love what they're doing, and really want one of these. I would say it's majority. It's
and honestly,
buying it and reselling it immediately.
I'm also really wondering. I would love to see the numbers behind. I wonder how many more APs are being actually sold because of this.
True.
Because that sorry, it was slightly, but maybe it was
all good.
Different point. That Swatch sells more watches because of this. That I can imagine. Because I don't think that an AP collector is standing in front of the store. Like if the guy spends, if a person spends 20, 30, 40K on a watch, they're used to walking into a store, having an appointment, being like 1 or 2 hours there, having their champagne glass at the table, looking at 10 different watches before you actually spend that kind of money, right? And I mean, if we're going even forward, to get like the Royal Oak, the basis that they actually did the Royal Pop, you don't walk into the store and you just buy it. They actually call you and they say, sir, we finally have a watch for you after like 2 years of waiting, or after a year of waiting. So it's like you're completely used to a different experience than somebody that waits or camps or fights for the Royal Pop. So I think that was a big marketing activity. It was, from an AP perspective, a way how to show that they're innovative, that they are actually young, and maybe a very small amount of all these people standing in line actually are potential customers for AP. And the other thing is, like with the Omega, for example, launch, besides the whole theme that they had with the solar system, which is much more elaborated, and it feels less like a marketing stunt, you actually can say, I got my first Omega. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actually wearing my first Omega. You're getting used to it. It is much more connected to let's say a real Omega that they have, right? Which obviously costs them 10, 15, 20 times more. But like, you kind of build a relationship to Omega. So if you get this watch with 18, 19, 20, or 16, whatever it is, right? You're actually looking at your watch. You're walking around with an Omega. So when you're 30 and you maybe have, I don't know, some money on the side, the probability that you go to Omega and you actually start spending 3, 4, 5, 6, 7K, whatever it is, for a real Omega is much, much higher.
True.
Than if it's in your pocket.
Yeah, if it's in your pocket. Most probably it's just at home, hanging around somewhere, and you don't really, like, either you sell it, as you say, and then it's anyways, you don't really care about AP in that sense. Because
I'm very confident though that they will also sell bands in the future.
I don't think at all.
I think that'll be something that
I don't think at all.
Yeah. Or unless
AP doesn't want everybody. I mean, the jokes are already out there. Yeah, the jokes are literally already. You see, like, I saw one meme was like the private equity guy that has his AP on, and they were saying, yeah, buys his first AP at this age, earns this much per year, blah blah blah, doesn't have to flex it. It's like just there. And then you saw, like, I don't know, the 18-year crypto trader, I was gonna say crypto degen that basically flexes his AP to everyone.
That's wrapped around
the cord. Yeah, correct. So I don't think that AP will make that move just because of devaluing the brand. Yeah, and they're investing so much money to be so high end, and again, like, the gap from my perspective is too big.
Yeah.
Like Swatch Omega, obviously it's also very big. From $300 to $3, $4, $5K is big gap, right? But from $300 to 20, 25, 30K,
Yeah, that's for sure.
that's
It's something.
that's the yearly salary of a few people.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a completely different. And let's be fully honest: if a young guy comes out of university, has a good university, works in a bank or in a consulting company, and with 30 they start making, I don't know, 150, 200K, 250K a year, then with 35, etc. They know what AP is. They don't need the Swatch collaboration. They will see it at their managing director's wrist, and they say, "I want that too." Because it's a status symbol. It shows that you're a cool guy, that you belong to the crew, and all of that shit. And at the end of the day, they don't need the Swatch collaboration to understand AP is actually a nice brand to have. So that's why I don't really believe that they will make wrists. I don't really believe that AP sells more watches because of this. It is more a positioning topic to show them, present themselves as a to a much younger crowd, and present themselves as a much cooler brand. Because they maybe have the feeling that they're a bit old school.
Yeah,
I like the PR angle. That's true. It's just like
huge.
maintaining and
From a
showing.
marketing perspective,
Yeah.
huge what did it.
I am so curious to see what comes next. Not in this collaboration specifically, but on Watch's side, what other high-end luxury brands will collaborate with them and doing these kind of collabs. Because it is pretty cool, like especially seeing AP doing this now. Is like, okay, it wasn't a one-off with Omega. Like this is something that they might do again.
Let's see if they do something with Patek.
Yes.
Yeah. They then do a poll. Who should we collab with next? That could be interesting. Exactly. And either way, the companies always have all of the power. Like it's always so interesting. Just like a little anecdote on the Pokemon example that I did before, the Pokemon company, the way they responded to that entire debacle, because they were getting a lot of bad press about it, their solution to the problem, they made the card available online and made it like unlimited so anybody could buy it. So suddenly it was not exclusive anymore.
Correct. As a collector, you're done. Like amazing. I was standing in line there. I was walking to the store. Yeah. But it's always like, if you look at the Omega Swatch collaboration, prices went like this. Tac.
To what they were,
It's like literally, and they're happy to sell you one in the store now. Literally, it's not anymore like before. Sorry, you can only buy one. Blah, blah. No, you walk into the store, you sell 21.
Which makes it really interesting. I think we can linger on this just a little bit more because we just have like a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth going into the last topic at this point. It's still a very interesting one, and it covers a trend, so we can actually talk about that like next time.
For next time.
Exactly. But in the loyalty play, and talking about this example of people camping outside and everything, a lot of the examples that we talked about were for limited edition drops. But some of the places where we have noticed, and I think there's just one really vivid example of where people would camp outside for something that would be available later on anyway, and that is Apple. Like iPhone. Everybody's had those iPhone drops where outside of their city, Munich included, like I literally saw them. Like years and years ago, I would be out one evening and I would see tents in front of the thing, and it's like, oh, it's because the iPhone 8 or whatever is coming out the next day. Why? It's like,
but you're right. iPhone 8. It was like 9 editions ago.
But like that's the thing. It's one of those, like, now we start getting back into the emotional loyalty aspect to it. Because that is like brand loyalty at the purest level.
100%. Yeah,
I don't have to be there. I have no obligation to, but I really want to be the first one with this phone,
But you also don't have the whole topic of reselling. Because I think that, sorry for the wording again, up the whole loyalty story. As soon as you have a secondary market, and honestly, we see that from the.
Although some people with the iPhone 17, they were standing in line all night. I don't know if it was here in Dubai or other places. They were standing in line the whole night, whatever it is that they do, all that camping stuff. And then guys just came along and said, hey, man, I see you just got one. Or maybe they got two. I don't know. Some were even able to buy multiple iPhones. And they just immediately asked, how much would you sell it for me right now? And they had either other people standing in line for them, or they immediately, the moment people came out, hey, here's $4,000.
But then, I mean, you can just pay $100 or $200 for someone standing in line.
No, I know. I'm just saying that
Okay.
even then, there I guess it would be a test
Yeah,
of
but-
loyalty, and true Apple loyalty is when you go out with your iPhone. Is your iPhone worth more for you to have it and be the first one to have it, or is it worth saying, "Oh, fuck it"?
The one
$4,000
big
more.
interesting thing though with Apple in that example is the novelty of it all, is that like people were doing that sort of camping stuff for the first time. It was in the news
that's
because
true,
people were
yeah.
talking about it because they'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
Like maybe the opportunistic tendencies then ended up going after like the subsequent generations because people were like, oh, maybe I could do this next time or something.
Yeah, true.
But like
Yeah,
the very first couple of times.
There's
Yeah.
also, if you look at the evolution of the iPhone, and I mean, a lot of people say that the incremental value and change that you got over time got smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, true.
So
And the burden of changing your phone got
correct, yeah.
got
So
higher and higher as well.
a lot of
Totally.
people started skipping a version or two actually, and not getting directly the new one. I mean, I remember before the 17, I think I still had the 14. So I basically skipped 15 and 16, and then got the 17. And really, I only got it because, like, the
the
display
screen was shattered.
just saw that it shattered again. Here. It fell down yesterday. I just saw it now when I was looking at my screen. So, anyways, I think Apple honestly is a really, really strong example of brand loyalty. And the crazy thing also there, I mean, going a bit against what we're working on, and we're talking about loyalty points and all these perks, etc. Apple never gives you a discount, never gives you a point, never gives you something for free. For me, that's huge amount of that's for me the, how do you say, inbegriff,
Epitome.
of loyalty. Because if you have people camping in front of your store just to get that phone and be able to show off, because that's the part, right? They're able to show off and say, hey, I'm the first one that got this phone and I'm so happy with it. And there's so many videos about it. That's really pure brand loyalty. That has, for me, zero to do with opportunism, because also you don't see like stuff going around or people say, look, he bought the phone for $1,000, he resold it for $3K. You don't have, like, right now you have on the on the Royal Pop, you have so many articles, so many posts, etc. On social media about, hey, look, you buy it for 300, you resell it for 3K, for 4K, for 5K. So it is that's why I compared it to the crypto space before. It gives me the same feeling, honestly.
Yeah.
And it is about short-term gains. It is about being in the newest trend and just profiting from it. So for me, I also see it like you, less on the loyalty side. I would say 20-80. That's always it's always a good split. Basically, sorry, there was some sound going on in the background.
All good.
Basically, yeah, 20% will be there for the loyalty, for the collectible aspect of it, and you have 80% that is there to make money.
Do you think Apple is just the once in a lifetime exception here when it comes to people being loyal to the brand? Because they, like you said, they didn't organize a big program. They didn't do anything like that. They just had like pristine marketing. They had a top-notch product that everybody loved, et cetera, et cetera.
I was gonna say no, because I had in mind, there's so many other examples of people standing in line for launches and so on. But then the immediate thought I had after that, especially when it comes to fashion stuff, whether it's sneakers, things like that, I was thinking to myself, actually, no, that's all for the resell flipping value. Immediately, I was thinking, oh no, there's so many other brands that have people stand in line. It's crazy.
But Apple is also, let's be honest, like it's a bit for me like Elon Musk and Tesla. Steve Jobs was just one of the greatest, if not, again, with Elon, the greatest entrepreneur and businessman in the world, with so much charisma, with so much dedication to the company, to the product, to the culture that they wanted to to express to the world, and that also again went into their marketing, that it went into their product. Every keynote that Steve Jobs made, people were just freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And you always have those, if you look at the, what's it called, the innovation curve, you have the pioneers, you have the early adopters, etc. And then basically go to the people that need, like, 10 years to buy the first iPhone, to switch from the Motorola to the iPhone. Obviously, these people drove a lot of that enthusiasm for and the love of that product. So I think that also gives a huge, like, it amplifies basically the values you're standing for as an entrepreneur, as a company, right? And obviously also the whole story behind Steve Jobs with Apple, like, again, founding it with Steve Wozniak, and then being thrown out and then coming back in. It just, like, it's a movie. It's like it's a movie.
It's a story,
and it's
100%.
right. And that, I think, created that brand loyalty to us. The same for Elon Musk. I mean, that guy drives so much Tesla sales. Also the other way around, when people didn't like him, actually people started selling their Teslas. So it's like always has always two sides of the story. But I think that is really related to that. That has zero opportunism behind, or almost no opportunism behind.
I love these conversations. I think these are some of the most interesting ones, because when we talk about brand loyalty and we talk about people, the true loyalty to a brand and everything, I think Apple is the #1 example that people always consistently bring up. It's also important to emphasize that it's probably not one particular thing, but it was rather a perfect storm of a lot of different factors coming together. You had brilliant founders, you had the story, like Gabriela mentioned, you had the branding, you just had the general futuristic feeling of Apple as opposed to everything else. Just from a branding perspective, I mean, people do entire courses on how Apple have branded their products and logos and stuff over time. It just continues to go that way. And nowadays, I mean, as you guys keep saying, like, the product is everything. I mean, the product has to work. It has to function. It has to make people happy. They wouldn't be into this company if it didn't, right? They wouldn't just say, oh, at least it looks nice, but it's a shit phone. That would, I mean, there are some things like that out there, but all of that to say, it takes this entire thought process, and it takes a lot of thinking, planning, manpower in order to sort of try and foster this culture of loyalty to your brand. And a lot of the time, the authenticity becomes one of the big things that become a little bit overlooked, where you can talk about making a good program and a well-functioning program, yes. At the same time, you need to have that mix with everything else, right? If you're a company, you can't just say, hey, we'll get a program and everything will work out. It has to align with the values of the company, et cetera, et cetera. So it's as always, it's an ever evolving bubble that I think is going to burst, but in a good way. In a good way. I don't mean like a housing bubble or whatever. I mean like it's a rocket that's primed for takeoff. Maybe that's a better analogy.
That's a better one.
Yeah. But either way, we are pretty much at the tip of our time now. So Gianluca, let's start with you. Any sort of closing thoughts? Anything before we close out the episode today?
Yeah, I would say one thing that is worth mentioning, specifically to the last article about the Royal Pop and just the whole conversation regarding brand loyalty and Apple and so on. To me, that's one of those examples of loyalty in business, or customer loyalty, that is the epitome in that sense for loyalty towards the brand, because it also shows that it is not something that you have to receive on top of what it is that you're getting with your money's worth, but it is also the way you identify with the brand. And that's why brand loyalty is so powerful. And I think that's also one conversation, if I remember correctly, we also had with Adam, where he was talking about the emotional connection that you have with the business pushes the brand loyalty in a direction where you're not there for the extra point. You're not there for that extra period.
Mm-hmm.
You're there for what they do and the way you feel about the brand and what they do. And as Gabriela mentioned, is if you have such powerful leadership in a business that really drives the business and what it stands for, and you see their dedication for what it is that they do, automatically you have, or at least there's more potential for having a greater connection with that brand and seeing, oh wow, look how much dedication they put into it, and then actually seeing it in the product when you're using it, you automatically feel like, okay, I believe this is the right brand, without saying it, obviously. This is the right brand to be loyal to, because they deliver on what they talk about, and what they talk about is in line with what I believe. And that's a form of loyalty that, really is at the top. And if you reach that, of course, you have things like people camping in front of your stores for new releases.
And then imagine if on top of that, you were to then add a loyalty program to everything. Program. My God.
Boom. Then the bubble, then the rocket launches.
How about you, Gabriele? Any closing statements for today?
Gianluca actually mentioned the keyword that I had in mind: dedication. I think if you look at Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, a lot of other super successful entrepreneurs that built like huge companies that we use every day, it started at the top. It started with the founders, started with their CEOs, their C-level team, executive team, etc., with just a huge amount of dedication. To be relentless, to check out every detail, to just wanting the best possible experience for their customers and not making any compromises on that. And that gets infused into how the team works, into the culture of the whole company. And at the end of the day, that goes into the product. And again, like, to my rant that I had at the beginning of the podcast, one honestly, not even advice, but like, it comes from the heart, literally, to all the other executives in these companies. Just put in that dedication. Don't be opportunistic bastards that just think about their salary and their 8 to or 9 to 5 jobs and all of that. Like, if you're leading an amazing company, just put in that dedication. Just want the best for your team, for your customers. If you do that, your shareholders will be the happiest people ever. And it's shown with every of these huge companies that the more they pushed on that, the bigger this company became and the more money their shareholders made. So
wise words. Wise words to end the show from Gabriele. Thank you so much. And again, thank you both for taking the time, because I know it's extremely busy for both of you these couple of days and weeks. So appreciate having you guys on. Once again, we are live every 2 weeks. You're going to be able to see our episodes on YouTube and on Spotify. Going to be posting these ones very, very promptly. I don't know why. I was about to announce that our episode will be posted in 2 days, but by the time they're watching this, there's a bit of a time difference there. Anyway, I'll just keep it there. Guys, thank you again so much. Once again, if you guys have any interesting topics that you would like to mention or have us talk about, the comment section is always open. Let us know if there's any interesting trends, any interesting things that are going along. Right now, there's so much that, as you can see, like, we're having trouble keeping up. There's so many of these new announcements and interesting partnerships. I think already 2 weeks from now, in the next episode, we're going to also have a couple of very interesting bangers already that we weren't able to copy or talk about today, but that we will be able to do so next time. So for now, gentlemen, thank you guys so much. Great to see both of you like side by side in the flesh. That's great to see. And we'll all talk and catch up with the most exciting space currently, the loyalty space, in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Guys, thank you so much. Take care.
Ciao, guys. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye. Ciao.